Well, I guess I'm streaming, okay. Let's see, one thing I gotta still do is okay, let's see here. This I have to be able to look at. Where's the chat? Yes, good morning. I guess I don't have to type it, do I? I'm so used to chatting like that anyway. But, wow. There's always so much to talk about. There's just some updates. Oh, no, never mind. Well, that's not an update. I said that the last broadcast. So let me get on with my little program that I'm trying to put on here of the book of Revelations, chapter 12, chapter 13 actually. Hopefully that comes through. All right, I'm always slow getting set up. I'm sorry for that. And the last time I was going through, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw the beast rise up out of the sea, and having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And one of the things I pointed out from that was that I think is important is the definition of crowns. There's 2 crown definitions. Hopefully you're seeing this on the screen. Let me make sure that you are. I don't know how fast it's updating. Or maybe I don't have that on the right screen. I'm sorry, I didn't have that on the right screen. Okay, now I do. So now I can put this back here. Wow, it's way behind. Okay, so that's fine. Doesn't matter. as long as the video comes out okay in the end. I don't think it is necessarily. I know some of them are probably messed up. I haven't rewatched them. So what I was saying was, in the summary there, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So I might not end up wanting to trim this, so that I keep on repeating myself. I'm sorry for that, Mark. So showing that the crown there's 2 crowns, and one is diadema. That's the one being used here in the Greek, and that's a crown that's compared to human kings. And the other crown is Stephanos, and that's what's used in reference to the students that graduate into the next level. And part of that crown is not only eternal life, but it's receiving of a physical reward, which is a new physical body that is a lot capable of doing things that the human body isn't capable of doing at all. Like, defying gravity and appearing and disappearing, changing the vibrations, so that if they were right next to us right now, you wouldn't see them, because they don't want to be seen. And they know how to stay out of your way, according to Tiendo. Even though they could even be in their quarters, they could have everything compartmentalized into cities and who knows what, laboratories, to where they can whatever. I don't know. I was just getting a vision of that. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but one of the reasons why this is significant, that there's 2 different definitions, is it becomes confusing, but it also serves to keep a mystery of what it actually means until you actually have the communication from the next level through Tiendo to put it into motion, so that when you look back on it, as I have, you can see how it correlates, even though they didn't present it using Scripture. They didn't talk about anything in Scripture, only 2 things. They talked about Jesus a bunch, but not overabundance of, not the majority of the things they said, there's like an example that has clues to the thinking of the next level that Jesus was starting to teach us to portray, to understand, of the reality of the next level above human. That it was actually a physical kingdom level, just like the mineral kingdom and the plant kingdom and the human kingdom and the level above human kingdom. And if you want to think of that there's many more after that, it's fine, but this is a big step. It's a huge step. It's I don't know how to compare it, but whether it's bigger than, it is. It's bigger than all the steps combined before it in kingdom levels, and probably more than that. But including the spiritual content of the database of the earth, so to speak, that I think is the mind of is the human mind of the earth. It's all human or human equivalent, according to Tiendo, because the space aliens are the human equivalents. They're actually constructing vehicles that they can inhabit with genetics. I mean, with, genetic engineering. With, the same thing that they're trying to teach the humans to do. It's not that they knew how to do that stuff specifically, but they knew it was possible. So they could keep on helping people progress towards understanding all those technologies. I'm not saying that's the way it worked. I think that's a possible way it worked, because Tiendo did give us a hint on that, saying that the next level use the lower forces for what they want to do. So it's how much they allow them to relate with a certain part of the globe. And they can regulate that, I believe. I say I believe because I'd have to think about examples of how they regulate that. From Tiendo's mind, not, well, I'm going to go on from there. Let's see, crowns, and the heads were what I felt, looking at it in all the ways that I knew how to, were the 7 heads are the 7, like the G7. The global 7, because this is all global now in the 3rd trimester, because of the internet and the communications that we have. Everything can be global. So anyway, that's pretty obvious, I think. But and the sand was the earth, and the sea is the human kingdom. And standing meant actually taking a stand for. So whoever this individual is that's talking, and that sounded like my New York accent, didn't it? Talking. So I learned how to not use that accent in the classroom because they made fun of me. I didn't mind it. I mean, it's not like they put me down for it. No, not that. They just had a laugh with the New York accent. And walk, talk. No, walk and talk. Walk and talk. All right. And the 10 horns, I believe, are best represented by the G10, which are the financial ministers, because the financial ministers are actually a horn because they actually run the military. And so this is the 10 militaries of the planet. And it was interesting that the G7 actually became G8 not too many years ago, and when Russia joined, and then because they invaded Crimea, they were thrown out of the G7, so they became the G7 again. For the time period of the 7th trumpet that's sounding, I believe. Hey, yes. Oh, I thought there was somebody else in there. I don't know if Mark's a new listener to this stream. If you have any thoughts or questions, I'd be happy to talk about them, give a response. Whoa, wow, that video is slow. Okay. All right, well, I'll just get on then with my little scurry down the lane of, maybe I should put some flute in here. What the heck? Oh, hi, XF. Well, I guess I'm still alive here, so I don't know if people want me to shut up and keep playing the flute, or or can go back to the real benefit to us that we all get from looking at everything that Tiendo taught the best we can. So, get on with that. All right, so I won't go through the what I already did in this one. So I'm going to go to the next verse, is the 13:2. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and his feet as a bear, and his mouth as mouth of a lion. And dragon gave him power, and the seat and great authority. I'm sorry, I'm not a very good reader of that. Anyway, but you can read it for yourself anyway, because you probably can't even see it on the screen yet because of the delay that I got here. Well, this relates to, like I've said before, to Daniel, I believe it's 7 or 9. I still haven't gotten to go back and look at that again, but I believe it has to do with the 7 kingdoms. And the 4th kingdom was well, actually the middle kingdom of those 7 had some special significance, and I forgot what it was exactly now, but it probably predicted the time right now that we're in, I believe, as the Revelation green horse of Revelation 6:8, I think. And maybe it was 7 and 8. But anyway, so I'm going to let other people go back and look at that, because I don't want to go into all the Daniel stuff right now. I mean, we have so much, you know, with all the because the dragon here, of course, is Lucifer. Not of course. I got this, you know, self-critical voice that's, you know, sometimes I think of Luciferian space alien trying to add confusion to me. And I'm just kind of open to that sometimes. But I guess that's part of the battle, right? If we're going to try to do this. And you got to live it. The more you live it, the better you can be at it. But I think I remember when I went through it, the bear was the, this is outlining the leopard, bear, and lion, right. Leopard, bear, and lion, and dragon, so 4 of them, right. So the dragon is hell, let's see, the lion is Trump, I think. The bear is Obama, and the leopard is G.W. Bush. Representing everything that they are a part of, that brought about and responded to and did in the human kingdom in the United States, in America, in the woman, America. That is the Revelation 17 woman, not the Revelation 12 woman. That woman is T, the God, is the chief administrator of the planet, according to Tiendo. No, according to Do. T didn't say that she was the chief administrator of the planet. She didn't tell Do that she was even his heavenly father, let alone the chief administrator, heavenly father, because Jesus is also a heavenly Father, because especially when he's not physically with us, incarnate in a human vehicle, then he's in the heavens in his spacecraft, and he's the heavenly Father then too. So there's two heavenly fathers that we have now, and like one's our grandfather. So God the Father is like our grandfather, because the one that was Jesus is our immediate father. Hope I didn't mess that up. Anyway, I'm sure I could have said it simpler. But I don't know. That's because the bear was also what I think was Reagan, because he came during the Bear Rebellion. No, wait, no. No, there was something about the Bear Rebellion that was the beginning of the California and the San Fernando Valley. You know what? I don't have all this in the tip of my thumb, so I don't want to go into it all, because there's a lot of depth that you can go into, and it's in my book. And I send that out freely, digitally, to people that send me an email to Sawyer, HG, as in Heaven's Gate. So Sawyer, SAWYER, HG, at yahoo.com. But that's interesting to think that that might be Trump, the lion there. And then the dragon is Kel. So the lion is what comes, and is, like it says, the Revelation, green horse, and is followed by hell. His identity is death, lion death, and what comes after that is the dragon, which is hell, because he's already been determined to be, by his fall this time around again, when Tiendo came back, he had another chance, his last chance. The individuals that are the Luciferian, space alien, fallen angel souls, because they don't have bodies anymore, but they grow bodies to have bodies to manipulate, to do the physical things that there are to do when you're physically on the planet with the spacecraft, hiding from the humans so you don't get shot down. The next level doesn't have to hide from the humans. They're so invisible to the humans. They know how to stay out of the way of all the humans. But they're physical also. I mean, they have gates, Tiendo taught, and highways in the heavens, which I realized later, to me, sounded like black holes. And then when I was looking at Bob Lazar's material, it was like, wow, black holes. And that's the idea of bending time and space came into reality in my mind a little bit by that picture of, the wave he made of the graph, like the graph paper he made into like a waviness. And so you can take the top of the wave and you can see where they kind of connect. They can kind of connect, and then that's like a tunnel to the other side, which if you went by a linear around the curve would be, an enormous distance. And it's like so that can be next to nothing there. That can be like, you go in it and you're out of it right away, relatively speaking. And that might be the way Doe did say that the space aliens came from, when the next level put out the call, however they did that, to a number of planets, that this was happening. They were giving everybody that had grown to the same level that the ones that were the Luciferian space alien fallen angel souls had grown to, a chance to actually to overcome, to make some headway. Was anyway, I got distracted. Sorry, but I'll get back to it. But I have other thoughts sometimes, and they just interfere with me and concentration on some of this, because yeah, I'm not gonna try to regain that spot. It's a good place to end, I guess, if I can't figure out what I was talking about. Oh boy, I hate to say it. I can see Junodi laughing with me in my mind. I don't know. She had such a sweet laugh. Yeah, a lot of people were sweet on Junodi's vehicle and of mine, because that's and not just sweet. I mean, she used to carry. She's little. She was like 5 foot tall and thin, and so she, I don't know if she weighed 100 pounds, and her vehicle. And she taught me a lot of stuff. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was learning it as I went. And I knew she had it more together than I did. I just knew that. She just carried herself in that way. And even Odie carried herself that way too. I was asked about even Odie. But I didn't spend that much time with even Odie. I mean, I did spend a lot of time with her for a couple months on the road. But we were working as check partners, as the overseers of a group so that we were traveling around giving meetings for the second time in the 19 years that I was with them. First time was in 1975. I don't know how I got into all that, but I'll continue on here with this. So I was trying to figure out what the seed was, the seed of the great, the beast. It's just summarized as the beast, I think, in our terms. So the United States government and their allies, are all part of the same structure, and that's the G7 and the G10, I think, that we're talking about. And so the New World Order is ready here. So anybody that's saying when the New World Order starts is they're missing the boat completely. And I saw one of the heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So now I thought that this was the 9/11 event. Wow, I was just thinking about how I'm too distracted to try to be an instrument for this, I think sometimes. But I guess I can just chalk it up to old age. and burning the midnight oil so much. But I got good night's rest last night, and I saw one of the heads and it was wounded. Okay. The wounding, yeah, I was saying the wounding was 9/11, I thought. And I was trying, to think how that, and I can go through that because, it takes us back to, well, my perspective is that okay, this was meant, well, see, I'm sorry, but I'm learning things as I go with this. And, even though I've been studying it for 15 years, I just keep on seeing different aspects and things. And if I go into each one of those, I'm going to end up getting a gig anywhere. But I can't help but want to, talk about what I'm seeing. So I should just do it and shut up, right? I should just do it instead of yapping about it. Because one of the heads of the G7 would be the United States. So, I mean, everybody else can see that already. It went before me. I had to say it. But and his deadly wound was healed. In other words, they recovered from that so that nobody really pays much attention to that anymore. The government made all the money from it and set up a whole bunch of stuff, more controls and stuff. And so they got what they wanted. And they're still getting what they wanted. So that was the first fall of Babylon, I believe, from Revelations chapter 14. And so all the world wondered after the beast, because the United States, it seemed to come back from it. Right now, a lot of people are reporting that things are really going on the upswing. But then you're getting this also reporting that that's only for the people that have the money and that are into the markets and everything. And, and they're making all their money from all the, ammunition manufacturers and, all that whole system. The technology giants, everything, all of it. And so they're the ones that are getting ahead, of course. It's easy to show that. The media is, basically brainwashing everybody. Mostly, Democrats. Most of the media is kind of like on the Democratic side, it seems like. And Fox News, and then the internet station, what's his name, who just got kind of banned from a bunch of places, who's still talking, but you don't see him as readily anymore, unless you go to his site. Forgot his name now. But so that's all coming down. I'm wandering. I know I'm wandering along in these thoughts processes into current events, kind of. But why not? I mean, it's all evidence, right here, because a lot of people can see it, and that's why you have survivalists, and Christians are teaching survivalists, to survive in the earth. But Jesus wasn't teaching to survive on the earth. He was teaching to survive with your soul, so that the next level would take that soul and then give you another chance to be back on the earth, to have another shot at getting closer to graduation into the next level membership. Because they see everybody that believes in them in any way, and doesn't have to be at all in just the way of the Christian, Islamic, Judaic framework, or the Hindu or Buddhist framework, or the spiritualist framework. It doesn't have to be in any of those, the Theosopher framework. It can be outside of all that ways of thinking, which is spirit thinking is all the same word. It's mind is what Tiendo called it. I don't want to keep on going in that direction. Okay, well, let's just go on to the next verse here. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" And this is Revelation 13:4. For anybody that just came into this. So Doe said that the meaning of the word worship, the true meaning was work for. So that's anybody that's working for Luciferian, space alien, fallen angel souls is what, or who are giving power to the beast. And that Tiendo taught that they didn't say that that I ever heard. But what they did say is that the fallen angel souls, the space alien fallen angel souls, well, would ride herd over the cattle, the other mammals, and one of them can ride herd on a lot of cattle. That's the kind of way they described it. And cattle being equivalent to humans in some way, some of them, I guess. I mean, there can be some cattle that are showing signs of becoming more than that. So it's, the next level, sees those and they smile on those. Of course, they give everybody a chance. But anyway, I just saw this little stupid picture, Or maybe not stupid, but a silly picture. Okay, so oh yeah, I didn't finish my thought on that. But so they were in control of all these world leaders because those world leaders are the ones that attract the most attention and bring in the most possibilities for the development of technologies, and in order to be able to get to the point to where they can try to get off the planet, because where they had positions of studentship off the planet with the next level on spacecrafts with what Doe called elementary tasks. So anyway, I'm going to get back to something else now, though, because I started to talk about this whole, and that was like Doe said that they were invited to. Well, I don't know if they were drawn. I think they didn't have a choice really. They were drawn from a number of planets, and then they had a briefing where he described it as. T is the one who remembered the briefing. And she didn't say it that she had a dream. She said well, I think she said she remembered the briefing, which is different. Just like Doe said he remembered being Jesus at one point while I wasn't with him. Well, Rio reported that in the book, in the Beyond Human Mind book. I put it in my book, so if you search on that little thought, you might find it. All right, I think I went through that enough. And there was given unto him, the next verse on verse 5, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Now, so he's given a mouth, so that means people can hear him, clearly. It's, in all the languages. I don't know, I mean, Those said that the next level, that the Luciferian space aliens beamed down thoughts to the human kingdom. So there you go. Mouth speaking. Great things. Great things, right. You know, that you are the cosmic consciousness. That every one of you are gods. And all you have to do is recognize it. That's the only thing that's keeping you away from it. That's taught, you know. Ye are gods. That, you know, Doug talked about that in the 88 update. And blasphemies are when you're speaking against the next level's reality and everything they taught through their representatives. If you're saying that's not true, you can't know it. Nobody can know it's not true in the human kingdom. It's not possible to know what you don't know. Well, what Tiendo said actually was they said, we know what we know and we know what we don't know. And we know where to go to learn what we don't know about. And that's to their older members. And that's always a need to know basis. Determined by their older members. You know what, I'm going to take let's see, maybe I'll finish this one. Let's see, things of blasphemies. All right, and power. Well, a lot of power, of course, in the human kingdom. You know, the military and the power over the people to control their thoughts or keep them anesthetized so that they can't think with common sense about certain things. Tiendo did say that common sense was that people that were abstaining from sexuality were increasing their common sense by doing so. They didn't say it just like that, exactly. They just said that the two were linked. Affected one another. And that many times the truth is what is common sense. And so frequently what we do, I think, is we're kind of like always playing kind of a game with ourselves, maybe, of debating our common sense, what we feel common sense about, you know, because common sense doesn't always look fun. You know, it's like, or rewarding in the ways that we want, you know, that we all want. So it's, and that's all part of the process, you know, to go through that, part of the human kingdom, which is a stepping stone to the next level, Tiendo said. And it wasn't supposed to work, they said. And that it was meant to be outgrown, risen above. They said if somebody wanted to be ordinary, then they want to stay a human, because compared to the next level, humans are very ordinary. They can grow them by the droves, by the billions. So that's why they make it very hard. But they make it very easy, actually, to get started with and stay with, as long as we keep on receiving the help that they give us, instead of rebelling from taking that help in order to stay addicted or anesthetized or brainwashed in some way, you know, the kind of the ways that I see it, that we all have, you know, it's of course. So this part about continue for 40 and 2 months, you know, months is a very interesting word, because if you look at it through the Strong's Concordance, it's got two words that are spelt exactly the same. Men and men. So you have 3375 is men, and it's a stronger form of men, 3303. So it's another one that's a men. It's three men now. A particle of affirmation. A particle of affirmation. So it's affirming something, like surely. So when I was first studying this, I was referring to the usage that was used in Revelations chapter 11 of months. And I thought I recognized that, and I could be wrong, but that it was both, because I think most every prophecy, or all the words of the next level seem to be, well, I shouldn't say all, because, you know, they say the word and, but, you know, that's stupid of me to say all, but, well, we can count on all the words that come from the next level. Anyway, I don't why I went into that direction. Another one of those stupid distractions. I gotta laugh at myself, you know, what am I gonna do? Otherwise I'd become a blobbering idiot on the floor, you know. Maybe that's what this end up being, you know, I'm gonna be, you know, moaning and groaning before. I don't know, you know, I hope I go fast, actually. I guess that's the most we can all hope for, right? You know, that's why the next level is actually more, they're more generous, you know, with not prolonging the end of these vehicles. You know, I mean, if you've just got, you know, 10 minutes notice, you know, for when you can see that the water is higher on the horizon, you know, when you can start to distinguish that, wow. You know, I don't know how much time that gives you, those people in Indonesia. Wow. But, I mean, you know, you're frantic at that point that you realize that, and so you're in survival mode at that point, and so you know, the next level is, you know, in a sense makes it easy. With humans, prolong it. You know, sometimes, not all the time. So I first related this to that we only got 3.5 years of this part of it. It's possible. So if that's during the time of the green horse, when Trump got elected, you know, that's 3.5 years that the mouth is going to be able to have power to speak to the human population. That's not a lot of time. I don't know what that means. They're going to shut him up? Because I know there's another beast. Anyway, so when he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and dwell in heaven. You know what? Maybe I got something wrong here. Oh, I got distracted when I was talking about men. I know that. I really need to go back to that because one was affirmation, but one is time, month. And so I think we do need to pay attention to that as being a potential 30 days. But it can also mean that's an affirmation period. It has a 30-day period that it starts for, and then that continues to grow after the initial 30 days. So even time, we can't just treat it as, I think, and remain accurate. We can't just limit it to those days, and that's the only amount of days that is going to happen. Because it's a period of time we're talking about. The next level sees it, the way they describe it all the time, and as a time times and a half a time, which came from, related to what Daniel described, the same kind of terminology. And, which is, like, 1.5 and 1.5 is 3, and then 1.5 would be 4.5. No, that's not. That wouldn't work. Let's see what else is over here. So I guess I don't want to go over to Revelation 11 now because I want to continue with this. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy. Again, oh, I read that one already. Okay. Yeah, I mean, making the space aliens into gods for some people, and making wealth into gods, and making religions into gods that are not. I mean, the establishment of the religion isn't related to gods. Well, I shouldn't say related. It isn't representative of the true gods anymore, except in theory, and that doesn't count for all the people, of course. Each of the person is judged by themselves, by the next level, for what they've been given. So that's not a judgment in the people that believe in those religions. So he's given to make war with the saints in verse 7 of 13. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Now, this is the saints here is everybody that is willing to give their life to the next level, even though the next level is not going to allow them to waste their life in the human kingdom. And so they give it to you at a pace that you can handle, that we can all handle. But we have to ask them if we want to do that, of course, and show them that we want to do that, and then trust them. And I know it's awful hard to imagine for me that somebody would hear this and say, okay, so I'm going to talk to Tian Do because you told me to, and of course not. That's if you know about Tian Do and you are curious about them, and you got to the point to where you believe that it might be true, or or more than that. And we're all going to have doubts, potentially. Doubts that we don't even necessarily see as doubts, which is what I could see after the fact. But with me, but we can. They help us, but I think the way it happens is by giving us up, by linking us together with other people that are asking for things from them, even directly or indirectly, whether they know the words God or the secular, doesn't matter, atheist, doesn't matter, spiritual doesn't have anything to do with it. I mean, it has something to do with it. Shouldn't say that, but it's not limiting to that. It's anybody that is reaching up. Even a scientist that's reaching up for how to cure cancer is potentially tapping into next level mind on how to do that, if the next level provided that with the package that they provided with, depending on how they limited the package that the earth was going to have, human kingdom that was going to have. Anyway, so that's the way I see it. Anyway, I may be, some of that may be off. I don't know, but it doesn't really probably matter. But so the saints. And so by the current thinking here is that this is all happening during the time of those 3.5 years that Donald Trump is in power, I guess, the green horse. Oh no, but then, see, then hell follows. Okay, so hell follows means that's going to start the 7 vials, maybe, being poured out, which has been led up to until now. So, we've seen the escalation just recently, come in stages, like in 2007 with the 2 big earthquakes in Sumatra and Japan, and the tidal waves that came from those. 2007, 8, I think it was, or maybe it was 7 and 13, but something like that, or 8 and 13. I forget the numbers sometimes. Obviously, but so that was like a hint of it, and it was interesting how some of the hints of that nature happened before, because the next level's been preparing for a long time, our time, for all this. So they do have it all under control. The only variables that exist really is how we respond to everything they do. Humans, how humans respond to the next level. So in other words, all those individuals that are willing to give their lives to the next level, the level above human, the evolutionary kingdom above human, are going to be overcome here. Now overcome can mean anything from subdued. In other words, shut up maybe. Just the same way that this same word was used that Tian Do would experience as the 2 witnesses. It said first they would Nike them. Isn't it interesting that the word is Nike in Greek? Subdue. So they actually then subdued their vehicles. They just did it. Just doed it. Just do it. So that word can mean conquer, overcome, prevail, get the victory. So does that mean people die? Yes, probably, but not necessarily. It's always a maybe. It depends on, I don't know what it depends on. I can, guess about it. That could get very hot under the collar for anybody talking about this because the Luciferians don't like it. And so they're going to look for ways to, try to take it out. Anybody that's talking about Tian-Do. I don't know, I don't know how long that'll be in our terms. That might mean no internet for me. I don't know. Who knows for how long that might last. I had some ideas that that it was going to be intermittent and maybe harder and harder to broadcast. So, and all that dwell upon the earth and shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So, so it's saying those aren't written in the book are the ones that are going to be worshiping the beast, the Luciferian, space alien, Lucifer the dragon, working for the dragon. And so whose names are written in the book of life? That would be the 144,000. So that's, I guess, the number could be, I don't know that, we can't hold the next level to the 1s and 2s and the 10s and 20s. Who knows, if that's well, let me put it this way. If Tian-Do said that the way we respond is the only variable in the growing of the garden, how they do it is it's a technique in that, or it's a it's a technique on how they cultivate the garden, but I was going into my own mind again there, and that's why I went into a confusing. I think if I listen back to this, there's something that doesn't want me to listen back to it because I don't want to hear all the. So this seems to correlate with, I'm going to probably stop with this verse because it seems to go to another spot that is, I'm just going to touch on briefly and then I'm going to go see if there's any questions over here in the chat room. Just to bear with me a second here as I look for the verse I wanted. Okay, sorry. I know probably people aren't paying attention to what they're doing other things anyway during these breaks. I know that's happening. Of course, why wouldn't you? Because I'm not saying everything, every word being worthwhile for sure. Okay, Con, get on with the show here, man. You man. So this is the 7 vials, and I heard a great voice out of the temple saying, 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath upon God. So this is the beginning of the 7. I'm suggesting that's when that kind of starts, or it escalates. And then that escalates to the 6th seal. And during that time, there's people that are taking on the job of standing for Tian-Do and losing their vehicles. Some of them, not all of them. We all have to go one way or another. And, you know, I know I'm not young, so... You know, had I had a family when I was young, and this information came to me, I don't know what I would have done. But I know I was tested with that. I shouldn't say tested. I know I had that to deal with when I left the group, and then I had a daughter at the same time as I was having dreams about Tian-Do in the classroom, a bunch of dreams, and which I've talked about before. And so I remember thinking at the time, which I've then there was a time where it grew to where I asked the next level in my head, if asked Tian-Do in my head if I could be of service without leaving my daughter behind. And she was like, you know, 3 or 4 years old. And my stepdaughter, which, you know, wasn't really, she would be fine without me, but, so I couldn't imagine that. And so the thought I got back was, that won't be necessary right now. Or that might be, that won't be necessary, you know. I don't know if it was a right now in it, but I think there might have been. You know, the problem with time, memories kind of fade sometimes. It's interesting how they kind of die out at the end of the little images that we can remember. So I'm not going to go through all this, but the first one seems to be the same vial here. And the next verse is Revelations 16:2. And the first went and poured out his vial upon earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and worshipped his image. Yeah, the image which was talked about in Revelation 13, which we didn't get to yet, so I'm really kind of jumping ahead here, I guess. Oh, so that doesn't start until the image is started. Otherwise, so the order, I got the order wrong, I think. So I have to go back to Revelation 13 and actually talk about that if I want to try to stay congruent with the way this seems to be pointing. All right, well, I'm trying to think whether I want to do this or, let's see. Well, yeah, see, when I first started to study this, I started to study the mark of the beast. You know, the mark is, like with all the prophecy, seems to have multiple meanings. One of them is that if you go back to it, it's an etching. It's a scratch or an etching. Now, you know, so that in popular culture, that could be seen as, you know, well, like a stamp as a badge of servitude. So, I'm not sure what that is at this point. I got a little confused thinking about it, the way I was thinking about it. And let's see here. Oh man, I must be getting tired again. Maybe I can get back to that. Oh, the mark. I was talking about the mark as a scratch or an etching. And it said it was like in your head or on your head or on your hand is the mark of the beast, or that you received the number, their number, or you worked for his image, like here. You worked for his imagination. Maybe his imagination that the space aliens are gods. Maybe his imagination that the cosmic consciousness is just that's a thing. Even though it is a thing, but the cosmic consciousness comes from the beings that are the members of the next level. As like a pyramid with the chief of chiefs, is the words that Tien No described it. Universal mind, yes. Universal being the next level's mind, their thoughts, their ideas, their visions, their teachings, their every word, their thoughts, their everything that came through them to us. That's all. Well, that's all that can be engraved on us, actually, at the same time. It's actually in the genetic code. from the next level. I believe Tian-Do said that. I can't remember exactly where they said that right now. And maybe it was just Do that said it, because I don't really... I mean, when T was in her vehicle, she did talk about... that's when they started talking about genes. And then Do talked about it more when he was doing the Transfiguration Diet book with us. And so you can look at it that way as well. It's etched, can be like a digital etching, like an imprint, a stamp. And that's the spirits that are being impressed upon the physical vehicles. And that come from the physical vehicle, from the mind that builds as a result of everything we experience in our emotions and in our behaviors and ways, thoughts, and everything we do, as like a database. Yeah, I pictured it one time as like an OOPS, like in a programming language, to where you have the code and then you have the data. And then you have the ports, of course, with the code that allows you to communicate with externally. So it's like a cell, just like a cell has ports and stuff. So it's the same, except the cell has more ports. They have a lot of them. Anyway, so that's, in other words, this is the difference between the people that are choosing to be making their god Mammon, mammalian. I mean, it wasn't an accident that word that Jesus used, mammon, which maybe I should go show it. Well, I don't need to do that. Anyone can look it up. Is mammones in the Greek. I believe I'm pronouncing it okay. And that means wealth. It means treasure. It means, I believe, because of that nature of the way that word sounds like mammal, and Tian-Do talked about mammalian, and I didn't hear them ever talk about God or mammon. That verse in Scripture that Jesus used, I tend to think is, accurate way of looking at it. But the wealth and the treasure to me means like treasure would be anything that is a treasure to a human being. And there's nothing wrong with a human being, by the way. I want to make that clear. It's like it's part of the human kingdom. Like Tian-Do said, if everybody decided to do this at the same time, it's not that the next level couldn't manage that somehow. It's that they and they would deplete the human kingdom, is what Do said in the Beyond Human tapes, to do that. And so that, and they don't want to deplete the human kingdom, because the human kingdom is the womb. It's the that gives birth to the vehicles that give birth to the spirit, that gives birth to the souls, that give birth to becoming members of the next level. So the mark then on another level, I thought that Mark could be translated to the vaccinations, that technology. Because, and that's evidenced by the way that the medical community is, the CDC, the MDA, the AMA, the pharmaceutical companies are all behind the vaccination program. What's his name? Gates, Mr. Gates, and Bill Gates, and the things that they're doing with that, and the genetic engineering is like, and that's the same word as sorcerer in some parts of where sorcerer was used. It was used in a number of different ways, and one of them is, but the word is in the Greek starts with a PH, like a farm. I forgot what it was exactly, or maybe it wasn't PH, maybe it was, but it's pronounced the same kind of way, and shows the same signs of the word in the lettering. But now, I'm not saying all vaccinations are bad. No, Tiendo didn't have us vaccinated that I was aware of, and I think I would have been aware of it. They would, because they would have treated it very seriously. They were very attentive to our health of our bodies. They wanted our bodies to last as long as they needed to last, so that we could make as much headway as possible for us to grow towards completing the metamorphosis, so that we'd be a viable birth into next level membership. And the students weren't all in the same place, but the students didn't know who was more far along than the others, although they probably had a sense of it, but they didn't know necessarily how to translate that sense, except when it was when Tiendo were working more with certain individuals, like they were with Jan Odie and Liv Odie, June Odie and Log Odie, who I believe are the four living beings, and that was mistranslated to beast in a number of verses in the book of Revelations. Because there's two different words for beast. Therion is the one that's the human poisonous animal, mammalian. Poisonous because they're teaching that what comes out of their mouths, their thoughts, is against the next level's reality. Even though they may use the terminology of the next level. They may talk about God, and they may talk about Jesus, and they may talk about, and it's not that they're condemned as individuals, but by our point of view, we don't know. We can't pass judgment on anybody. All we can do is pass judgment on the behavior that isn't taught, that we can see isn't taught by the next level, like thou shalt not kill, for instance, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, I think were the three that Jesus mentioned at one point. And then the second greatest commandment was thou shalt love your neighbor as yourself. And your neighbor was a friend that was didn't have to have any relationship to you, through your, or didn't have to be like a brother in the same thinking. That you're supposed to treat all humans with the same respect. All fellow humans. But I wrote a little song about this, I think, and I didn't think it meant, it was based on like a 51%. That, and Doe actually talked about that, how that's what the process was, that that you were trying to get rid of 51% of the human mind. So that whatever you thought and did and derived pleasure from, because Tiendo are not against pleasure. They just wanted to be the ones to design the pleasure for their students that wanted to go all the way. And prove to them that they wanted to go away, because it was a process. And it was actually, they were testing us the whole time. And I actually did want to talk about that some. And maybe I should take the opportunity now to do that, because I think I outlined what I'm calling filters, that they were continuously filtering, like some new ideas about the way that they were filtering people out that weren't going to be ready to go all the way and be honestly ready 100%, because they didn't want anybody that had any doubts and was showing any doubts in any way. And so so filtering happened, like, for instance, when they created when T was still in her vehicle, we had a Christmas celebration. And that was 1994 or 1995. I think it was the Christmas of 1994, which would have been right before T left her vehicle. It's interesting that they had another Christmas celebration in 1996 in December, right before they laid down their lives in 1997. And they filmed it second time, but we don't have access to it because the Heaven's Gate webmasters won't give it to people that I'm aware of. Maybe they are sending it to people now. I don't know. If anybody gets it from them, please make it available to other people. And let me know about it so that I can, because they could have a change of heart and they could let all this stuff out if the next level wants it to happen. It was said that in the Old Testament that the Lord could put it in their heart to do something. But it's always something, though, that I think we are asking for by our behavior and ways. So I don't know. I don't want to play that out anymore. But I was talking about the mark, having already talked about that beast and working for his image. So his image, oh yeah, another thing with the image, which I should go back actually to Revelation 13 for. Maybe I will do that. Bear with me a second here. That shouldn't be too hard. To get to, oops, or maybe I'll see if there's any questions. I've been going for an hour and a half. I do want to get to this. All right. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that was here. Yeah. Now, say the saints are still here in Revelation 13:10. So as this is happening, well, it could be as soon as 3.5 years, 42 months, as they said. Well, there's another way of looking at that also in terms of months. That's what I forgot to go into before. Let me go back to that. In Revelation 13:5, that these could be like 2 affirmation periods. So it could be a 40 and 2 affirmation periods. Now, each seal appears to be an affirmation period. In other words, giving the opportunity for human beings that have received help to become even curious about the next level and be examining what they were teaching through Tian-Do, a chance to make their affirmation to stand on their behalf as being the ones that came from the creators of the earth and all the life forms on the earth's kingdom. All the life forms on the earth, not kingdom. The human kingdom is part of that, of course. And so that's, what the affirmation is all about. And we're all doing that potentially in degrees. Regardless of how well we can talk about it, there's no competition. And we don't have to point out anybody else's faults, which is part of the classroom materials that you'll see in the major and minor offenses and in the 17 steps in the Heaven's Gate book. And so I don't know, for how long this will be happening here. If it was 2 affirmation periods, according to what appears to be the distance between the affirmation periods so far, which I don't guarantee to be accurate, because the next level can change it, as the evidence changing other time frames that I believe I was able to document. 8 years was like an affirmation period. Or 7 years maybe. Or 7 to 8 years, which would be, 7 years would take us up to the 8th year, which is up to the next octave. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti is the 7th note in that octave. And what Tian-Do said when they took those names is that that's when they actually first introduced to us the idea that, and this was after we were in the classroom for a number of years, and it was probably about when a couple years, it wasn't that many years. They said that T was pushing, not pushing. T gave birth to, well, they didn't say it as gave birth, but that's what it was in Revelation chapter 12, I believe. But they didn't use that word, give birth to. They said, brought about or pushed or brought into being, brought into manifestation. But with a form of a push, I guess, a help in that direction, which was Do becoming the beginning of a 7, a 7-year program to produce babies. Souls that could become members of the next level if they kept on thirsting for more and asking for the truth from the highest source they can reach. That's what Tiendo talked about doing too, also in their minds. And they talked about how to think of that as the way I remember them saying it was that you project your thoughts beyond the heavens. I mean, beyond the stars. Or to the stars and beyond the stars. I think as far as you can imagine. And thinking in terms of that going to the highest source that is in those heavens. And that by thinking of it that way, which Jesus talked about as our Father in heaven. He didn't get into details about what heaven was at that point because he didn't have as much to deal with. Well, it wasn't ready for humans to understand it that way because they didn't even understand technology and space travel and all that. And so they had a limited view of what the heavens were. But I believe there's evidence of 3 heavens, which was, one is the emanation of the spirit of the human kingdom, that is the spirit world of the human kingdom. And then the next one is where there's gates into, is the one that's where the souls are starting off on and being saved to and circulate within. And they have access to the spirit world, I believe, according to Tiendo, because they said that they can use, the next level can use the spirit world to do things for humans, to help them, like guardian angels. It's not necessarily just humans that died before that, you know, were grandfathers and grandmothers and you know, relatives or people that were close to the people that died, and so they were close to people that in the human kingdom that were still in their bodies, and so they would help them as guardian angels. That happens too, I believe, according to Tiendo. And I forgot how I got into all that now, but I know I was talking about it as the months originally, and then I went off on a few different threads. Oh, I was going to get down to the image. So this is all happening during this time period. That could be 2 affirmation periods, which would make sense as the 4th and 5th, because the 6th affirmation period is well, it's when the earthquake happens. That's the biggest earthquake that's ever happened since the foundation of this civilization, is the way I interpret it. And that's when the scroll of heaven is taken away, which I think is the removal of that heaven that's got 1 or 2 of those levels of which, you know, extends above, you know, to include the atmosphere of the planet and a certain distance of the electromagnetic field of the planet. Maybe the total distance of the electromagnetic field of the planet. Maybe it actually does come to a stop somewhere, kind of dwindles off. as it's, you know, it's producing its waves. So well, see, I wanted to jump ahead to the miracles and the image. Do I still have time for that? Yeah, I think so. Revelation 13:14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had a wound and by sword and did live. So I'm saying that the wound was the 9/11 event. And I described that more in my Revelation 11's video, I think. I tried to. So I won't go into that, where that's depicted. And now, but these miracles are interesting because the word is semion, or semion, neuter of presumed derivative of the base of semanio, an indication especially ceremonially or supernaturally, an indication especially ceremonially or supernaturally is a miracle. A miracle or sign, token or wonder. Okay, so that could be like an image that people are depicting tribally, you know, and you can take that to now. Let's say well, just say a type of music. Can be like a ceremonial kind of miracle, sign, token, or wonder. But we're talking about coming from the next level. No, I'm sorry. It's coming from the beast. The dwell on the earth. Is the Luciferian space alien fallen angel led mammalian kingdom of humans that are make up the G7 and G10, and I believe, and how that are, you know, not everybody's deceiving that works for them is necessarily in this group. I'm not saying that just because they it didn't. I don't know. Maybe if they're deriving their income by supporting them, maybe the next level, you know. But it's going to be an individual basis anyway with the next level. So it's not for me to or any of us to decide whether somebody in the government is giving into showing affirmation to being marked by the beast, by that institution, that kingdom, that mindset, that is anti-true God, anti-true next level, anti-true cosmic consciousness, universal mind, that's above that, the beyond human kingdom. It's above all that. because that cosmic consciousness they're talking about, I believe, would be the part of what's in that first spiritual world layer within the atmosphere of the earth, which probably within the denser atmosphere of the earth. Probably the further away you go, that's why going out, which Tiendo taught this, that the further up you go in elevation, the less of that there is. Because when we went up to Black Hawk, that's when they talked about that a little bit, just a little bit. That you were out of reach, and I believe that was the Revelation 12, that she was taken to a place prepared for her. No, taken from a place to escape the flood, which are all the negativity against T, Endo, and her children, the students that were with them. So the miracles, another way of looking at the miracles was like there was this image of the beast. Now let me look at something here, because I may not be relating something very clearly. You do with the wonders. Oh yeah, I was going to start with actually the wonders. And here, right, this is the second beast, and I'm not going to get into trying to figure out who that is, but I thought it was kind of the EU. So, but I may be wrong about that. Oh, maybe the next beast in the next. I got to look at it's be the fifth beast in Daniel, maybe. Fifth and sixth even, because it has two horns. But that could be fifth, sixth, and seventh, because it's got itself and two horns. Oh, I hadn't thought of it that way. That's why this is great for me to do this, because it opens up new ideas, but, you know, it doesn't mean those ideas are accurate, but shows possibilities of how to interpret some of this consistent with everything else as best I can. So, but the wonders, since I went back here, to make fire come down from the heavens on earth in the sight of men, well, I guess one of those could be considered to be all the pleasures that we get from the internet. That can become addicted. We can become addicted to all the different things, you know, addicted to just, you know, playing games, okay? Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with any of that, but you can become addicted to it. Or you can just, you know, use it a little bit, and, you know, so it's all degrees. Use it for relaxation, use it for, but you can get into it like, you know, like that's your whole life. Which is a choice, of course, and there's no telling when somebody might change from that course. Because they still have to deal with life and get lessons from dealing with life, and the things about life happen and, you know, present us with, you know, things that require our time and energy, and so, you know, that's all in the human kingdom's grades, which you can go backwards in. So even if somebody understands all this and, you know, has a certain amount of it under their belt, they backslide. They can backslide. And that's what I did. And so it's not anybody's guess, not guess, but it's up to the next level of what to make of any of us in terms of where we are. The best we can do is to proceed and keep on trying to correct the things that we know can be improved upon in the next level's eyes. Trying to stick to what Tian Do were teaching would be my recommendation, whatever they wrote down and said in their videos and the audio tapes during those years that we have them for. So wonders, another look at what fire could be and what is coming down as a great wonder, so that fire, maketh fire come down from heavens. Well, you know what? I'm not so sure I agree with this word "so" here. Let's look at some other interpretations of that to kind of broaden our thinking a little bit. I guess right now I'm kind of speaking as if that those of us of you all that are listening to this are kind of participating with me on, looking at these verses and having your own thoughts about them. And which you're welcome, but I guess I don't get to the chat room very often because I don't want to try to make distance. But I will. What I've got to do is maybe I've got to find a way to copy the chat room so I can look at it later and then respond in the comment sections. Or make another 3-hour broadcast, right? And doeth great wonders. Okay, because there were other things I wanted to say about this, but I just started looking at this so as if it's, can it be, oh, it's Chi, okay. So Chi is sometimes also a cumulative force. So you can have the wonders that are accumulating to fire. So that all can be one motion, but it can be many things within that motion, I think is the way you could look at it that. Like wonders also, or wonders even, or wonders so then, like as a result of. And then wonders too, which is as a result of also. So I think all these ideas are, but then they also say this can be also and also both, but, even, for, if, or, so that, then, therefore, when, yet, are all, and I think they can, many of them can work. But the next level has a way of doing that. Well, because I guess they created the languages, right? I mean, if they didn't provide that ability to put things in a language form, I don't think it would just happen that, I don't know, maybe it's possible that they could be making sounds and different sounds, but even the next level is doing that. It designs the voice box. So, however you want to look at it, the next level is behind it. So, dwell therein to worship the first beast. Let's see, there was something more I wanted to say about that. No, I went back too far. The great wonders. Because a wonder, an indication, especially ceremony, or supernaturally, okay? Now, okay, so a great wonder is basically bigger than a normal one, okay? And it can be especially ceremonially or supernaturally. So supernaturally I didn't talk about, and So what is supernatural? Well, that would, to me, take in the spiritual database. The lowest part of the first heaven. The heaven that the Luciferian space aliens, well, they want to take to the one that's above that. Which would be like either the top of the first one or the bottom of the one where the next level would call paradise or a paradosa, where the thief on the cross, I believe, would have been sent to, which was called the Abraham's bosom in the Old Testament. In other words, the purgatory of between heaven and hell. Because if you're just in the second one, if you're just in the first one as a spirit, I'm not saying spirits can't be saved to that place also. But if you're not taken to that place by the next level when you lose your vehicle, then you're probably going to be discarded, recycled when they do that later on. It's not going to happen yet. And I don't know, you know, for all intents and purposes, I think once somebody dies without having responded to the next level's help, they might be useful for certain things, but well, I think mostly the lower forces use them. Tiando's term was lower forces, in order to do the things that they want on the planet. Which, you know, they talked about how when the buffalo died, the spirit of the buffalo went to the ethers. It became part of that frequency network. And that they felt like that was responsible for some of the wind in the Middle West of the United States. At times, when those buffalo were being herded or were spooked, you know, when they were being hunted and whatever it was, you know, happening, that spooked them all the time. You know, all the gunfire and or the Indians. I don't know if they started to herd when the Indians shot them or not. They probably didn't. I imagine they would have gotten up and got away from there, seeing that there was a predator among them. But these, and the way the fire come down from heaven. Well, I wanted to get into more with that. To me, like a hologram could be fire coming down from heaven. And Tiendo talked about that in terms of Fatima. The experience that those young girls had in Italy, I believe it was, that seeing what they thought was the Blessed Virgin Mary, and where she gave us some predictions for the future, and they saw something visual, and that created, Tiendo thought that was a example of a trick that the Luciferian space alien fallen angels can do. And so then that takes you back to how what Paul described could easily be seen as a trick. Right? Because that's what happened when basically some kind of hologram, unless he made the whole thing up, unless he got it in a dream, and but a dream that blinded him, you know, sure, we've had abduction accounts of people that, you know, kind of lost consciousness. So Paul was the first contactee that we have record of, I believe. Well, I shouldn't say that because the next level members, older members become contactees too, but it's contactee from the next level as opposed to contactee from the Luciferian space alien fallen angels. So that's what I wanted to get to in talking about that, because we've seen some things. There was that like fireball over California, right over LA, I believe, that was I think later revealed to be like a military exercise of some sort. And but they didn't say it, they don't own up to that, and maybe it was leaked, you know, because the military would do that. You know, they would say that they had no responsibility for it, and then they would leak it, and meanwhile they're watching what people are talking about when they talk about it. And, you know, sometimes they would be laughing, probably, you know, as they're reading the reports, and sometimes they, you know, who knows what they're doing to try to confuse everybody from what the Next Level does when they were sending fireballs. Now, I think the Next Level was in control of the fireballs that were happening in 2013, up until that point, and perhaps after that. I have to go back and see when that Edmonton fireball happened, that went over Edmonton. So fire come down from heaven. Right, so this heaven is the same Uranus, but what Uranus is the sky, by extension heaven, as the abode of God. It's true, but it's the higher abode. By implication, happiness, well, not necessarily, you know, but you got to watch out for these implications, because you get what you are, what you put out, even in the first heaven. Like Tiendo said, you get what you believe. So if you die, you know, unhappy, and you want to take it out on other people, then you're going to try to put it into motion, your unhappiness. And so you can generate, you know, unhappiness in all the ways that you became programmed to do. That deteriorates health. And that humans, when they receive it and take it in and believe it, they actually attract, I believe Tiendo taught that they attract whatever the ailments were that spirit had, that the individual took on the thinking of. That was negative thinking to life. Of that polarity. So that you get physical ailments then by what you do and believe. And what you do is part of that. Part of what we believe. Because what we believe isn't just what we think. It's what we do as well. And that's how Jesus meant it also. And that can be shown by going back to examples that he used in the four Gospels. If you believe on me, then you're going on the path to eternal life. But he didn't tell you that it's a very long path. And there's a lot of bumps in the way to make it hard. So it's an exercise machine. Tiendo at one point talked about it as God's astronaut training program. I have a little bit of a foggy memory whether the word God was actually in that. But I do remember clearly that astronaut training program was what they said the Next Level was really doing here. Training for jobs is employment. But it's also part of their family. that they compared to being on a Star Trek crew without the human behavior. So no competition, no power, no power struggles, no definitely challenges in terms of how to work out through problems with the older members. And those problems are can be in any department in the growth of a garden, because they're creating living things. So those living things are changing, and the way I see it is that the next level. No, I shouldn't say what I shouldn't keep on talking like this, because that's how I get off the track, when I start to use my own mind to try to figure things out, how the next level might do things. So, thank you, Tiendo, and crew, if you helped me stop going in that direction. So this happened. So these holograms. Which you could say, UFO sightings now, you could say that some of them might be holograms. Maybe this really hasn't started yet to where we're really seeing, but Doe talked about, I think in the Beyond Human tapes, maybe the 11th one, talked about the big surprise and whether we would witness it or not. And there could be like they could come in shifts, which I think he was talking about as the space aliens coming and the next level coming. And I think the space aliens would come first. Although it's simultaneous, in a sense of the next level, what they're doing on the planet with whoever is trying to do work for them at the time, when that's the end of the harvest. Which will be the souls that will be taken and replanted after the 1,000 years. I believe, as according to the interpretation that I've come to at this point in Revelations 7. No, in Revelations 20. So it's going to get worse, and so the UFO sightings are not the next level now. I don't believe. I don't know if any of them are. I can't limit the next level. So, but they'd have to show the markings of the next level, and. Well, for instance, an asteroid is from the next level. If they're tracking now, humans can make that up too. I know that, but I'm not so sure the next level would let them make that up at this point. But that might be one of the ways they shut down. They may start shutting down, keywords of asteroid. Who knows how that might start on the internet, to where the internet can't be used anymore to talk about all this. They could do it and not tell anybody about it. Of course, they wouldn't tell anybody, and they're already starting to do that. We know that. Maybe that's far-fetched, but I don't think so. Anyway, but it's all in the sight of men. I forgot where I was there before that. And the sight is from the word optanome, let's see, N-O-P-on. What, I get that wrong. But it's spelled like O-P-T, like optometrics, right? Optologist. how do you say that word? Now I'm getting all confused. Optometry? Anyway, optomeo. So it makes you think that it has to do with the eyes. And it does, because it's in the face of, literally or figuratively, before, in the presence, sight of, and to. So it's, so the earth to men. So men receive this. Or the earth before men, in front of. Before it would be translated that way. In front of. In the presence, in other words, so physically available to even see with the eyes and through the sight. So that shows that it's something that, you know, humans are going to be experiencing. I think Doe said that at one point that, you know, the next level could let the Luciferian space alien, fallen angels, actually stage a rapture, the way that they believe it to happen, the way they take human vehicles. And the next level might allow people to see it and think that the rapture was taking place and they were left behind. And to play that out a little bit. He didn't know, if I remember correctly, and XF, anything you can, help me see that I'm wrong about these things, or anybody else that I know XF goes and looks things up, I'd appreciate hearing about it if I got something wrong in that, because I think a lot of this is in the Beyond Human tapes. Or the 88 update, or any of the other Seven Thunders, the information that they provided. Let's see. And men here isn't, it's anthropos. So we're talking about humans. There are no genders in the next level. So right now, they accept all genders are equal in the next level's mind. Although they know they're not equal in the human kingdom. They're not treated as equal in the human kingdom. But the more advanced souls and spirits are treating all the genders equally, with the equal respect. I'm expanding what Tiendo said to all the genders, because I know there's people that are transgender, or they feel like they are the other gender, and that, you know, I'm not denying that that's a mindset, as well as a biological feeling, you know, to go in that direction. You can feel biologically attracted to the same sex. I know that's, you know, completely, well, Doe was attracted to the same sex of the vehicles. Doe's vehicle was. Doe wasn't. Doe's vehicle was. And Doe took it over and changed it from that, so that it wasn't attracted to any sex, any gender. We were talking about filters before. Well, let me get back to the image. So this beast here is the second beast. which we still may not have seen this clearly. Well, I say we again, but I don't know why I do that. I'm not trying to imply that Tian-Do or me are coming through, you know, like the Father is in me. Yes, the Father is in all of us if we abide by and give examples of, you know, their teachings. That's the degree. That's we're trying to get to 51% at least of, to where we make the decisions on what we do and don't do, what we say and what we don't say, coming from what we think that Tian-Do would say about that, saying that or doing that. Oh, wait a minute, I just realized that this is talking not about the second beast, this is talking about the first beast that had the wound by the sword. Okay, that makes sense to me now, better. Okay, I just wasn't looking at an overview of this in my head before. So he gives life to this image of the beast. I wonder what that's going to be. I don't know exactly what that means. The image again here is the likeness. What, is that a different word? Icon? I'm looking for that. Did I miss it? Yeah, I did. I missed it. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, his image here. It's the same word. Okay, geez. That's the same spot I just went to. Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to. It's also that one. So it's got the power to give life unto the image of the beast. Now, I thought that the image meant, at one point, the spirit world image. That's the, so he's given power, if that's true, well, no, or the imagination, or the, you know, the, well, even the spiritual image of what is the highest truth in the year God's mindset, that is the real, as one of the misinformation campaigns took that direction. Not that that can't be a stepping stone, but to stay in that form of view, what you're going to get is you're going to manifest what you want from it, you know. Put it to work for you and make money or whatever you want to do with it. Or to teach to other people and make money and build little mini empires. Right, so I forgot why I was going into this. Oh, I was just looking at that image again. You know what? I'm going to go to. I don't want to get into this now because this would. This next verse, verse 15. Yeah, it's gonna get pretty iffy. I think it's a good time to go to the mountains, like Jesus said. Or at least have some idea of some place you can go in the mountains if things, fall apart, when things fall apart here. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count. Number of the beast, for the number of a man. Oh yeah, and his number is 666. I guess I think there's a lot of ways of looking at that number 666, but the one I thought was the best one that I saw when I was researching it was the one that was talking about it as the Roman numerals. And since 6 is such a primary number for the sixth closeness is Tiendo, which is the sixth trumpet, was Tiendo, the two witnesses, is during that sixth trumpet. And the sixth seal is when the medicine becomes very strongest for that potential 8-year time or maybe 4-year time period, because they said the days would be shortened, so for the elect's sake, so I don't know, how they might have shortened it from those 8-year periods that I was talking about, because I was thinking about, that the Bush presidency of the red horse was about 8 years, and the Obama was 8 years. The black horse, Jacinth, or the blue, dark. There's all those interpretations are to be found when you look at all the Greek and so. That horse, and then the green horse being Trump, blowing, simultaneously with that seventh trumpet sounding that's been sounding since the Next Level started sounding it in the 1990s while they were still incarnate in the seventh thunder. That's all that sounding period. Which was the Heaven's Gate website and their return. No, which all the seven thunders were, starting from the first one when Tiendo went public, the first thunder, and then the second thunder was the first. Well, they're lined up with the seals. So the first seal was the first thunder, which it says in Revelation chapter 6. There's a thunder mentioned there. I don't think it indicates that whether it's a first or not, or a new one. or it might give that indication if I remember correctly. But you know, maybe I'm going to go down to. There's a whole bunch of stuff with that. I think I published it on the on my blog. All the information about, or it's in my book, and my book's on my blog. So I guess if you search for 666 on my blog, and you find one that's got that title, Tiendo, the Father and Jesus in quotes, Heaven's Gate, UFO Two Witnesses. That's the name of the book that I published. But that I give away digitally through the packets. I've sent like 4 out from these chats, and I see that Tony is over here. Cannot see our dialogue. Oh. I don't know what's with that. So can people hear me? Oh, thanks, XF. I appreciate that. It's session 4, the big surprise. And he didn't know exactly how much of that we would see. I mean, humans would see. I'm not saying that there. I don't think that includes. That might include understand that they're seeing. And see, because you can only see what you are programmed to see. So, and that's why T and Del were teaching in the very beginning, teaching us to try to see more than exists that we're not seeing. And she gave us an exercise to do that. That exercise was focusing on something that's very close, that's not too far away, you know, maybe, he didn't say exactly, but something that you could clearly see the detail of, and then shift your vision to where you're opening it up to seeing the peripheral vision as well. I was just trying it with a picture that's on my wall, and yeah, I was able to do it, I think, and I can feel it. I can feel it's a slow process. The way I just saw it, that you're maybe some other people can do it easily. You know, I don't know, but where you're only seeing, you can block out everything so that you're only seeing that image. And as I block out everything else in my peripheral vision, the image actually becomes blurrier in the picture that I was looking at. I was looking at a photograph of a person on my wall. That was my stepdaughter, my vehicle's stepdaughter. And it's not a very big picture, but I can see the detail right now a lot. But then when I was trying to focus on it, after I opened it up to the peripheral vision, that image became just like a picture, like jumping out at me, that was blurry. And I didn't see any peripheral vision at the same time. So it was like almost dreamlike when it became that picture without the detail. And then I went back from that to just looking at the peripheral vision, and then I would only see that, and it took the background. I could actually see the detail in my peripheral vision to some degree. Not, I mean, I could see there was a lamp next to me, and where it blocked out the lamp before that. So anyway, I took a long time to describe that, but I don't know if other people would have other ways of describing it if they try to do that. But I don't know if you're talking, let's see, can anyone, yes I can, okay. What site are you using? It's a biblical translator from Greek to English. Oh, I use, I have a download, I bought a copy for $8 of Strong's Concordance. And he probably still sells it for that much. Which I recommend for anybody to get by going to the gentleman that runs that. I hope he's still alive and he's still doing it. I don't know if somebody else took it over and kept it going or started to. I haven't tried to look for it in a long time. You know, maybe I should start to provide that too to people, and then I might get into copyright things. Well, let me know if you can't find it. Or find another one that's, you know, gives you a Greek dictionary. So I know I just took the last thing that was asked, and right, as a holodeck. Heaven's Gate also likened XF says their training exercise on Earth as a holodeck. Yes, that's right. And you can see it when you see that the mind is the soul, the mind and the soul that contains the mind from the next level. And when we try to take in everything that Tiendo taught, then becomes the programming, the way we use the physical vehicle and the world, our interface to it, the way with the things that we do, and the way that we think during that time that we're doing. We're actually, and so if we think in terms that we're fighting against those influences that would change our behavior or ways to be not within the structure that Tiendo gave us, which you can see, we can all see in the major and lesser offenses and the 17 steps, then that gives us something to shoot for. And if we're asking help of the next level to do that, then they will send us experiences that will give us the choice on moving. Even like then, I think what happens is the way it seems to work for me so far, is that we get an idea. Okay, we're watching something on TV or talking with somebody, or we get this idea, and with that idea comes like a wondering if that was an idea from Tiendo, like an answer to our question. And so then we have to look at we have to choose whether to look at the idea more, what that idea is. And the idea may come to have several facets to it, probably does. And something that we're going to want to ponder